Hey, YouTube watchers, listeners, and everybody serious about researching and knowing more about the kingdom of the Bantu Father, Sonini. This video today is showing you that the original Bible, which was the scrolls in scroll forms, it was in Bantu language, okay? And then those people who stole, those Roman people in the times who were ruling, they stole those scrolls and translated it into Latin language, which was the dominating language back in the days. Unlike like now, it's English. Back in the days, it was Latin. Now, that Latin language, they then make a whole lot of changes on the scrolls, which is now the Bible, and then produce something they called a Bible, a translation, back into the Bantu language they got the scrolls from. So it went into a triangle. So Bantu language to Latin, and then they manipulated, changed a whole lot of things in there, and then released it back into the Bantu language. So when you walk around, you will, looking at the Bantu Bible, you will not see the original text because it's been changed from Latin and then back to Bantu language, okay? So a whole lot of things have seeped through the cracks going down on the updated version. They started eliminating a whole lot of information, okay? So this video today is proving to you the whole small little things that are discrepancies that are really showing what they've done to the original information. Such that, like an example, when they translated some information from the Bantu language to Latin, there were no one-on-one, because the Bantu language got a whole lot of words for one thing, okay? So, but Latin language is not like this, like English, one-on-one. You go to a dictionary and find one word for something. So now in this video, I'm showing you how they giving themselves away or shooting themselves in the foot when they start to translate, and they pick up wrong words in the Bantu language, which are ridiculously wrong words, and they use it for a wrong context. Okay, so let's first look at what's Bantu language, because it's not a Bantu language, it's a dialect. Okay, the dialect that was used for it's the same. The dialect that I'm trying to show you now is the dialect that the Savior spoke on the cross, and the same dialect that the Father wrote with his finger. Sonini wrote with his finger. Mene mene tege. So Eli Eli lama sabatane, as you can see there. That's Kosa saying this is for Sabbath keepers. Okay, if you can read over there, Sabbath is Sabbath. Sabatane is a person who follows Sabbath. Okay, I'm not trying to show you that now. You watch my other video if you want to know more detail about this. But what I'm trying to show you here is the Bantu dialect, because Bantu is a group of people, okay? They speak different dialects. So there's no Bantu language. It will be a Bantu dialect, okay? So the dialect that he spoke on the cross, that's that there. And then there's the same dialect that the Father, Soninani, wrote with his finger in the book of Daniel. Mene mene tekele. Mene mene is a transgressor. So you will see that this is the same language that the original Bible was in, because it was given in Mount Sinai, and in Mount Sinai they were speaking Xhosa language in there. Mount Sinai, Sinai is to be with somebody. Okay, so they were with Sonini in that mountain, so they call that mountain Mount Sinai. Okay, Sinai. So, and then the first Bible, that batch of scrolls, those Latin people, which were the Romans at the time, they called that Bible, the first concoction that they made, they called it a Sinai Bible. They call it Sinai Bible because it's a Bible based on the Sinai information. Okay, so now those scrolls that's why I'm analyzing this video based on the original text, the original language, which was the Xhosa, which is what's called Xhosa today. Xhosa, that's the right pronunciation of it. So the Xhosa language, like I was saying, there's a whole lot of words in Xhosa, depending on the context, that can be used for the same meaning in Latin language. So if you take a Latin dictionary and put it here, or English dictionary, because Latin is extinct now, nobody speaks Latin language. If you take an English dictionary or whatever and look up one word and pick up that word in that English dictionary and try to map it out in the Xhosa dictionary, you will not find it like that, because it depends on the context you're using it. Okay, so there'll be 10 other words for what you are coming up with in English. A typical example is if you say when, okay? when. The word when in English. Now you pick that word from English dictionary and you go to a closer dictionary or a closer person to translate that word when. But now the person will want to know, is it the context at which you want to use that word in. A typical example, nini. Nini means when, okay? Nini can also mean forever. Nini can also mean owner. Okay, so it depends on what context you're using it at. Okay, so there's many words for one word. There's many Xhosa words for one English word or one Latin word. So now, when they were translating the Bible, they did not have that kind of approach in mind, where they're trying to map out one-on-one. Whoever was translating the Xhosa scrolls to the English or to the Latin, it was Latin at the time, to the Latin language, he probably had a dictionary, because he started picking up the wrong words. Typical. Okay, let me show you examples of what I'm talking about. In Genesis, let's start with Genesis. Okay, let me pull it up just now. Here, in Genesis, it says, "Ekuqalekeni Thixo wadala amazulu nomhlaba," which means in the beginning. Okay, that's what the English translation is now. In the beginning. So now, whoever is translating is looking at the Xhosa scrolls. Now let's look at a hypothesis that the person probably was looking at the Xhosa first and then translating English. So, if a person who is looking at, okay, let's look at first, it was English to Xhosa, okay? Let's say somebody's arguing, no, they translated back. Now, if it was English, a person who's a Xhosa speaking person, they will know in the beginning, then they look at the context, then they choose the right word out of the 10 words that mean beginning. Then they assign the correct word in there, okay? So, in the beginning, God of the Father created the heavens and earth, okay? So, in the beginning, in there, it means originally, okay? Originally, he created, because it could have said, if it's in ekuqaleni, which means in the start, in the English part, okay? So if ever the person who was translating from English, then it would have been in the beginning. That means at the start, okay? At the start of everything. But now here, if you look at it backwards, ekuqalekeni, which means in the origin. Keni means origin, okay? So that person would have not assigned ekuqalekeni, because if they were looking at translating from English, which says clearly beginning, they would have said from the start. They would have not said from the origin, because that keni, once you put a K in there, you mean origin, okay? So now they would have said from the start. Now there's just small little things that show that this was translated from Xhosa to English, because the person that speaks Xhosa would not have chose galekeni if they were looking at beginning, because they would have assigned the correct word in it. Let's look at another example. Look at an example. See, like I'm showing you here. There's Google Translate showing you. Ekuqalekeni means beginning. Now, same Google Translate is showing you. Ekuqaleni means at first. Okay, so it's two different, depending on, if you put that KE in between, then it's a different ball game. It means at first or from the start. But the origin and first is different things in the Bantu language, as you can see in the English there. Okay, let's look at another example, maybe a better, clearer one, so you can see this thing. My computer adding up this morning. Now, here, it says, now focus on the bolded parts, which means open space, okay? Now, let's look at the English. The English says, the earth became, or the earth became formless and empty. Formless is, now let's say I'm trying to translate. Now that's the hypothesis I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to translate. I'm having an English dictionary, English Bible in front of me. I'm translating it to Bantu or to Xhosa. Okay, formless is not a nyanyeni. I mean, everybody who speaks Xhosa, who knows Xhosa language, they will not translate formless into a nyanyeni. Nyanyeni is open space. So they would have said it was open space and empty. Okay, that's what we would say. But because this Bible was translated from Xhosa, nyanyeni, there is no word in English or Latin that says nyanyeni. I mean, so they put, okay, we put in formless in there. That formless is something that was copied to try to translate nyanyeni, okay, which means open space. But now at the time, they just said formless because they were just looking at, okay, nyanyeni, what are we going to say, formless. Because there is somebody else who did not know the Bantu language, did not know the Xhosa language. He's just translating, probably is using a dictionary, or just somebody who says, nyanyeni, in the beginning was a formless. Okay, let's look at another example, maybe, because a formless is depending on what form you're talking about. Because if you're forming something, your sculpture, it's a sculpture, that form is a sculpture, it's called hey, it's been decades since I last spoke Xhosa, but now, the pronunciation is starting to slip up now. So, ungaqingwanga means that's sculptured form. But now, ungabunjwanga, to bumba is to form like with your hands. So, you use different words depending on what kind of form that is. So, here, this person, English don't got that kind of approach in languages. So, that's why they just threw in a formless. But now a person who is using a Bantu language would have chosen either Qingwanga or Bunjwanga, depending on what kind of form that is. Okay? But no, they didn't choose none of those. They chose open space, which means that is the original text. It's not a copied text translated from somewhere. It's the original text, which says Nyanyin. Because if it was a translation from that form, it would have been one of those two. Bunjwa, which means to form by a hand, or Qingwa, which means sculptured. Okay? In this case, it would have been Bunjwanga. Was nothing was formed. Nothing was Bumba. Okay? To form. All right? Now, here, let's look at another different example. Genesis 1:20. It says, Watutiko amanzi la makanya kazele inyakanya. So, which means there must be abundance of crowds. Now, nyaga is crowds, okay? Nyaga means a group of things that have life in them, okay? A crowd. So, now, not crowd of people, but like a group of things that's got life in it. So, nyagazele means abundance, like, group, large group. Now, here, in English, it says, the waters teem with shoals. Okay, that's ridiculous. They're just putting pagans. Let's look at the other translation. Think NIV and it says, God says, let the waters bring forth abundance. The moving creature that has life. Now, if a Bantu person is reading that, the moving creature that got life, they would have said, oh, okay, it's luanya nesambayo, it's no pila. I mean, they would have just put that in there. But no. The person who's writing the Xhosa language, the Bantu Bible, he didn't say Islwanyan, because the creature is Islwanyan. Islwanyan is no pil, or Islwanyan is pilayo. No, pila means life. Remember in Revelations, I know to the churches, 7 churches, I know you have a name that says you are alive, but you are dead. Pila de pila, fil, pila, So here, so pila means life. So it would have said, if it says a moving creature that has life, said islwanyane esipilayo. It's not pila or espila. Okay, that's the translation. But no, the person in Bantu did not have anything close to islwanyane anything. He just said makanyakazele, which means abundance, nyakanyaka, which means crowds. Imiphefumlo ephilileyo. There we go. Imiphefumlo ephilileyo, but nothing to do about creature. A creature. No. He didn't put, and manyakazele, nyakanyaka, he didn't say anything about, here, they say, forth abundantly the moving creature. Makanyakazele, nyakanyaka, imiphefumlo. You get what I mean? So, it's not a one-on-one translation. They think, now it's getting worse and worse. Now, stay with me, you'll see worse. Now, Exodus is even worse. So I'm picking random text here. Now, Exodus 29 is the worst of all these proofs. Maybe I should have started with it. Now, Exodus 39, it says without the camp. And then on the others, in Bantu, it says ngaphandle. I mean, without the camp, there's no one who does things without the camp. Outside the camp. That's what it is, because when Sonini was giving them this rule, he says, you must burn this outside the camp, okay? Outside the camp. But now, the person who's translating this, he looked at ngaphandle. What does ngaphandle? Because that's the original text, now I'm showing. Now, ngaphandle, minquba is a temporary dwelling. So, which could be a tent or whatever. So, he says, ngaphandle minquba. So, I said, oh, ngaphandle, look at the dictionary. And say, okay, let's put it. When they're busy translating this thing into Latin and English and everything, the original scroll, they start looking in the dictionary and say, okay, let's translate ngaphandle into without, because that's a one-on-one. But now they forget that Bantu, it depends on the context you're using that word in. So that ngaphandle, it can mean outside. Ngaphandle can mean without, but depending on the context. But the person who's translating chose the wrong one, because now he's using a dictionary, right? Stealing our Xhosa scrolls or Bantu scrolls, stealing them and trying to use a dictionary to translate into their Latin or English, whatever the language, the Chaldean language they were using there. So they started using fire, so we were burning fire without the camp. That one, I even left it. Because they should have said fire outside the camp, not without the camp. Because if a Bantu person was translating, now let's say somebody's arguing, no, it's still strong. Nah. This was translated from English to Bantu. No. Now, because it was translated from English to Bantu, the Bantu person will say, burn with fire without the camp. They will say, oh, okay, without the camp? Okay. Then it don't even make sense. How do you burn something without the camp? It's like the camp is supposed to be burned too. No, it means you burn outside the camp. Which means the original text was the Xhosa, the Bantu language, Sinaye, the Sinaye Bible. That was the first one. So that was the ngaphandle, which means outside the camp. Not without. They picked up the wrong. Okay, let's look at another one. Now, that was the one that was hilarious. Here's another one that is worse too, because now they don't have any word for fukama. Fukama is to, like a typical when a chicken sits on eggs to hatch them, it says to fukama, to sit on top of something until something is done brewing or done, whatever process is metamorphosis or whatever changes it's going through. So something else covers it. Okay, that's called fukama. Okay, so now he says here, moya kaThixo wafukama phezu kwamanzi lawo, like the spirit of Sonini sat on top of the waters. Remember the waters that were on earth before in the original creation in Genesis. So it says the spirit of the Father sat on top of those waters. Okay, fukama, that's the word is used. Now here in English they don't have any word fukama. Probably they didn't want to use hatch. They said nah. The Spirit of the Father hatched on the face of the water. No. Now they saw it ridiculous too. Then they started putting in moving. Was moving on the face of the water? No, because that moving has nothing to do with the fukama. But because if you look at, if it was translated from English to Bantu, I'm giving them a benefit of the doubt. Let's say you are still arguing that no, I'm wrong, it was English, I'm a Bantu, let's say I'm a Bantu person, looking at your English Bible, I'm trying to translate it now back to Bantu. You think moving means hamba. So it would have been, God's Spirit was hamba on the face of the water. Simple. But no, it didn't say hamba. It says fukama. Fukama, which is a clear word, which you are moving. You are not moving. You are fukama, you're sitting on top. You are hovering it. Okay? You are sitting, sitting on top of it, circling on top of it. So, which shows clearly that these people were trying to translate the original Bantu Xhosa Bible, Sinaye Bible, which was written back then into English, but trying to fit in words that don't fit in English. As you can see, they're messing and tripping. Okay? So now here, let's look at another one. Mhlaba. Mhlaba means soil, okay? In Bantu language, in that Xhosa language. Bantu. And it can mean earth, depending on the context you're using, okay? Now, here in Genesis, it says, now the original text, it says, okomileyo ngumhlaba. What you think okomileyo ngumhlaba, which means the dry is land, okay? Ngumhlaba, which means is land or soil, okay? Now, that person who's translating was looking at, okay, mhlaba means earth. Mhlaba means land. He just pick up any wrong word. He says, called the dry land earth. And the collection is the sea. Earth. No? Because if in that context, he should have chosen land or soil. The dry land was called soil or land. Because earth is hlabati, which means the whole word, like the whole earth which means hlabati. You gotta add T in there to make it earth. Because if, let's say now, somebody still arguing, say, no, you're wrong. It was still translated English. Then if it was translated from English to Bantu, to Xhosa, then the Xhosa person would have translated, look at that word and say, okay, because it's the first time, right? He's saying it, as you say it. So he would have said, and God called the dry land earth, and the collection, okay, called the dry land earth, okay, called it Mhlabati. Hlabat, you call the dry land Ihlabati. That's the word that they would have used there, not Ngumhlaba, no. You said to call the dry land Ihlabati. That's what earth is. But no, the Bantu person, Xhosa person who was translating there, he said to call the dry land Umhlaba, which means soil. Didn't make a mistake there, because that's the original text. But now the problem is, Mhlaba is a lot of things, is earth, and is also soil, depending on the context. Okay? But anyway, let's move on to another one. Now here, this one here is just showing you the Xhosa behavior of the clan, because now the English and Latin didn't have clans, right? They still don't get clan names. So, a typical example, what happened when Maria, okay, went to the tomb and, was asking somebody, he thought he's a gardener, only find he's actually the Savior. He said, what are you looking for? Where did you put him? And then when he said, hey, Maria, it's me, he said, oh, Kaboni. He started using his clan name. He called him with his clan name. That's the behavior of the Xhosa people. When somebody's trying to be serious when they're calling your name, they won't call your first name or last name. When the person is trying to address you in a serious mode, they jump into your clan name. That's now being serious with you, okay? So that's some kind of a behavior or gesture. I don't know what to call it. So now when Miriam was talking to Savior in the tomb, he didn't say, oh, Cindy, because that's what his first name. He says, oh, Haboni. That means his clan name, okay? Now, the English people, they just kept it like that. He did Rabon, which means master. They even feel guilty because they're trying to justify, which is to say master. Who said they must translate what that Raboni means? Because Raboni is a clan name. Now, because they're trying hard to convince us that that's what they said, they have to translate it there, which is to say master. No, they don't even have to include that other small little line there at the bottom. Try to justify what Kaboni. Kaboni is a clan name, okay? Probably say Kaboni, because I know clan people called Okaboni. I think Okaboni or Tolo, I think. So that was a clan name, okay? That's a Xhosa behavior. When you are addressing somebody in a serious note, you use a clan name. But the English translators don't have clan name. Now it was in Latin at the time, because Latin is the language that was ruling at the time. So yeah, so y'all, when the point of I'm trying to make y'all understand is, first of all, the original text was in Bantu language, but you will not read the Bantu Bible right now and think you are reading the original text. That's what I need y'all to clearly understand, that the Bantu Bibles we got today have been tampered with So whatever Bantu language you got your Bible in, it's been tempered. It's not the original Bantu language. Okay? It's been tempered, and they've taken out a whole lot of things. Okay? Because somebody was asking me now, can we take this Xhosa Bible today and translate it back? And as the original text and think that's the thing. I said, no, you can't, because it's been translated into Latin first. And then there was a council of I forgot the council, but those elders, those Bantu elders who were there, they were Xhosa elders from it's called East London now. No, it's called Queenstown now. Is it Komcha? I forgot the name of it, but that's the English name now. Is called Queenstown. Okay, Kumcha. Yeah, I think that's the original name. It's called Kumcha. Okay, there was a council. The people who were there, I think a lot of the people who represented Xhosa people were from Kumcha. Okay, so now these people, they rejected whatever the Latin people came out with, because now after taking the scrolls, they started producing this, and they called a council with the elders representing the Xhosa people to say this is what Mount Sinai came up with. So we put it in a book, and this is the book that y'all should start using now to teach people around. And the people rejected every information that's there because they thought it's bogus, and it's actually bogus because they started using a whole lot of pagan stuff in it, and the doctrine was concocted and changed. Okay, so they reject. So that's what happened. So that council, I forgot the name of the council. I saw it in some video, but I should have just covered that portion in there. But it's not in Google Translate. You won't find it in Google or anywhere research. But you'll find it in some people's interviews. They spill the beans here and there, and you'll pick up, oh, that was the council that they said and discussing this stuff in. So now in that council, it was rejected, but they still anyway went on with it. Went on with the Bantu Bible. That's changed, and a whole lot of doctrine changed. Okay, so which is what we got today. All right. So the main thing you gotta just focus on is you must have the spirit of Sonini. Now, whatever happened, you have to have the spirit, because that's the one that still got the original text. It will keep revealing to you things that don't feel right. Okay, in the Bible now we have things that don't feel right. Then this part that's been doctored. Okay, like to me, a lot of things that Paul wrote didn't feel right, and that's when I started looking and man, there's something wrong with this writing of Paul. And that's when I started uncovering a whole lot of things. When I have a full video talking about Paul. Okay, there are truths, sure, because a lot of people will start arguing with me about the truth. I say, yeah, there are truths, but they are false. Okay, so the false will not feel right. The truth sure will feel right, but the false won't. Okay, so you have to start trying to discern all this kind of stuff. So you need the spirit of Sonin, no matter what, because without the spirit, you'll keep bouncing with the false truth. You won't even know which one is which, because you need that truth, that the soul and spirit of Sonin to reveal stuff to you, and they won't feel right. They just won't feel right. Then you know. Okay. All right. Bye.